Hello and welcome to the Forensics Showcase. I am Dr. Kitty Grace, the Director of Forensics, and this year we qualified 40 events to nationals, and every student qualified before our district tournament, which is amazing. We have 12 members on the team, 2 first-year students, Nikki Dessiere and Natalie Watson. We have 2 sophomores that joined us, Chloe Carson and Sam Johnson. We have 3 juniors, Courtney Hansen, Sam Burke, and Isabella Munoz. And our senior class was 5 members strong. We had Jada Morrison, Melissa Loney, Elizabeth Hansen, Allie Kennan, and Nathan Navratil. I hope you enjoy their performances and know that their messages truly come from the heart.
Hello everyone. Thank you all for coming. I didn't know if anyone was going to show up today, but here you are. So, so here I go. My husband and I met, and we were, I meant partner. Marriage wasn't legal back then, but that's besides the point. Anyway, we met at a bar, and he was about maybe 3 seats away from me and kept looking over. Every once in a while I would look back too, because he was a sight. And this one time he was staring, so I bit and I said, "Hey, what are you looking at?" And he said, "The sun and all its stars." I know. Oh, but I was 23 and that corny line somehow made me smile. There are some things that you'll just never forget. But it was that moment I knew that was the man for me. The individual queer experience is just that, individual. While there are some shared experiences, the struggles I experience when coming to terms with my queer identity are different than those of trans individual, queer women, queer people of color, and even other queer men. Yet we're all bonded by a traumatic past of what it means to be queer. Thrive Global on March 19, 2019 explains, people who have experienced a traumatic situation together always have a bond of survival. Our community's history is trauma. From Stonewall to the HIV crisis, to Matthew Shepard, to the Pulse nightclub shooting. We are bonded by trauma, but built on perseverance. The Sun and the Stars by Elliott Swift. Our first anniversary trip, we went to Santa Barbara, California. I had never been on a plane before, but I had the time of my life. Right after I popped the Xanax. But when we got to the ground and just spent time together, that's when I think I truly fell in love with Kyle. He told me how much of an advocate he was for our community. And I had always wanted to be an advocate too growing up, but I was too chicken shit to do anything. So I thought that being with him, I could learn to be just a little bit better. The day at NASA was one of the best days of my life. He wanted to send all of these men to space, and I didn't understand any of it, but I thought it was amazing. After that, he took me from building to building to building before finally we ended up in the planetarium, and he said even though we couldn't get married now, we would one day. because I was his sun and stars. For our 20th anniversary trip, we went to a fancy dinner in New York, the ones with 5 courses. Ooh. I looked around the restaurant, and I became painfully aware that we were the only gay couple in the entire restaurant. But being with Kyle made things seem just a little bit better. So after dinner, he took me shopping. He bought me all these clothes that were a little tighter, a little brighter, a little riskier. The one that made people really stop and stare. But he bought me all these things just because he knew how much I loved them. So he got them for me, brought me back to the hotel so I could change, and oh, I felt like a beautiful gay peacock. Oh, but after that, we just walked around the city that we loved. And even though there are all the bright lights and noises and sounds, we loved each other so deeply, it felt like we were the only ones around. That night, Kyle squeezed my hand a little bit tighter. I didn't know if it was because he was afraid or what, but I thought it was ironic. Because I was usually the scared one, but tonight, I had never felt more alive. He then asked if we could go to a protest. And I don't know if it was my newfound confidence from my new flared jeans or what, but I said yes. And I followed him blindly like a love-struck teenager. Upon arriving to the place where the protest began, I looked around and I had never felt this sense of community before. The energy in the air, it was electric. There are all these people making signs, so I told Kyle that we should make one too, and so we did. And ours read in big bold letters, "Smash gay oppression." And then it had those 2 gay male symbols, the ones with the circle and the figure, and they were 2 figurines, and they were smashing each other. Oh, we thought we were clever. But before I knew it, we had this ridiculous poster, and we were in this protest, and I noticed that, we all looked so different, but we were all so similar. About 20 minutes in, the police showed up. It's at this point I would usually turn and run away, but tonight, I wasn't going anywhere. They started calling us terrible names and demanded we disperse, but that crowd was unstoppable. Kyle rushed forward to help break the police barricade, and I grabbed his side of the sign, and I held it a little bit higher, and I was a little bit... And then something happened that would change my life forever. There are many things you notice after a gunshot. The first, obviously, is the sound of the gun. But the second are the sounds that follow after. Just the gut-wrenching screams of the crowd. The third thing I noticed is that there was a circle forming around a body, and they were trying to give him space, but also trying desperately to help. And the fourth thing I noticed is that I knew who the body belonged to. So I just rushed forward and I held him in my arms because I didn't know what else to do. He said, "Please keep fighting." for me, but more importantly, our community. So here I am today, begging you all to keep fighting. Trust me, I know we can get married now, and Kyle would have been so pleased. But there's so much more we need to accomplish. So please, keep fighting for the sun and the stars. And for Kyle.
When I first started coming to the museum, I was 7. I used to come with my older brother, but he was taken during the cleansing. I look at all the beautiful sculptures of bodies. There are so many of them, and they're all so incredible. I find images of myself. The red claw marks look similar to the way mine do. There's a body of a woman named Anna, and Anna looks a lot like how I look. Body is something you need, and you only get one. And no matter which one you get, it will not be satisfactory. It will not be beautiful enough.
3rd grade, I realized I took up too much space. I was at a kid's pool party and this boy came up to me and said, "You take up all the space in this room, you fat pig."
From that moment on, I tried my best to stay hidden. I stay until the place closed. But this time, I wanted to stay longer. The front desk lady locked up, and I was alone with all the bodies. And then suddenly I hear,
"Hello, Annie. We've been waiting for you."
I turned to see a woman, usually bent over in a dip. The wax figurine slowly melted and walked towards me. But to my surprise, she was a real woman. All of the bodies began to melt. I look around and I see Anna. Body positivity, as it stands now, is a community made up of allies who have centered themselves and their sociably acceptable bodies within a political movement and one-time safe space for visibly fat people. States Vice, December 2019. While fat positivity is thriving on social media, in our everyday lives, the lack of body diversity amongst those closest to us is alarming. The power of seeing fat people in our everyday lives not only pushes fat acceptance forward, but also rids us of the inner bias ingrained by society. This movement was made for people like me. Fat bodies deserve real connection. Through the drama, Shrill, Episode 1, the prose, Night at the Museum of Bodies by Bridget Paul, the poetry, Fat by Maddie Dragsbeek and Living in the Body by Joyce Dubin, an article from Glamour, and my own personal narrative. A program. Because I deserve the space I take up. Anna's real body is miraculous. Her hips stretch wide and far. She had this mesmerizing gaze that felt all too familiar. She reaches out to touch my face. I ask her what her life is like. And she says, "Not as lively as yours." She hugs me. And suddenly I feel warm.
5th grade, I started to shield myself. I would wear 5 layers of clothing every day, starting with body shapewear so tight it was hard to breathe, and then adding a tank top and a t-shirt, and then ending with a sweater, then a jacket. I did this every single day for 8 years, just in hopes to restrict my size. To feel beautiful was to be less fat. I'm a big girl living in a world that told me the only characters I will ever play in movies are the funny fat friends. The punchline to everybody's fucking joke. 'Cause that's what I am, right? A joke? A joke because don't eat that. You could use an eating disorder. 9th grade, I started to starve myself. And even throw up. I saw my parents do it every day. You don't know the pain until you see your own mother shove a toothbrush down her throat. Eyes watering as she tells you never to do that. Anna tells me that after the cleansing, the white suits took all the bodies they didn't find attractive, abandoned them here, coated them in wax, and told them they must remain here. And so long as no one saw them move, they could stay alive. I don't understand. Then why am I alive? Anna tells me they wanted to keep one last real body in the world. To remind everybody there's a small person inside of you dying to get out. I was crowned queen of my senior prom. And for the first time in my life, I realized that people love me for me. But that didn't stop the tiny framed girl from posting a conversation with her father, disapproving my fat body. It wasn't enough to let me have one night where I could love myself. Because all pretty girls are a size 2. You could be so pretty. Fuck you. I am big and this world is small, but god fucking damn it, this world is gonna learn to make some room. Because I am fat. And I am beautiful. And when I say those words in the same sentence, God, they sound so good. Because for the first time in my life, I went back to a pool party in college. I wasn't planning on swimming, but then I saw Katie, a woman similar to my size, wearing a bikini. Seeing her confidence gave me the ability to take off my clothes. And for the first time since 3rd grade, I wore just a swimming suit. Being around Katie and all these diverse bodies that truly loved themselves was life-changing. It felt so good to finally show my body. To finally take up my space. It especially feels good when Anna holds me. And the jolts of memories flood through me. A time before the cleansing. Mom. Suddenly I begin to harden. I'm still in the museum. I'm a body.
So yes, admire my curves. Admire my body. Admire it. It is beautiful. It is mine. It is all I have left.
When I saw it posted up on the notice board at the club, I thought it was some sort of practical joke. It read, "Speed dating for seniors." The only thing that happens quickly at our age is dementia. Now, I'm a happily married woman and hadn't even contemplated attending. But as luck would have it, I found myself passing the event some weeks later. Curiosity got the better of me, so I go in for a little look-see. And it's filled with all these women, primed and plucked and held together by Botox and Spanx-controlled pants, sitting cross-legged at tiny tables, with their skirts hitched just high enough to show that their libido isn't incognito. And these men. My God, not one under 80, struggling up from their seats into their walking sticks and Zimmer frames, having conversations they're too deaf to hear, with no memory that they've sat with the same woman 3 times. Oftentimes, we as a population dehumanize the elderly community. We see them as individuals that don't have any more life to live, and thus, we only focus on their past experiences and not their everyday lives. So by uplifting stories of the elderly going through the same phases in life we all go through, we attempt to humanize the 14.9% population makeup according to the Census Bureau 2019 and combat ageism. Slow Dating by Adam Shudrich. Bob told me about his bladder infection. Harold asked if my hair was real, and Jim? Well, Jim rolled around his dentures like he was sucking on gumballs. And as I sat there, I pitied these incredibly sad souls that all just wanted to feel less alone for a moment. So I thought to myself, if I were running this speed dating thing, I'd run proceedings like a sushi restaurant. Put the men on a conveyor belt and let the women pick out the ones that are still fresh. But the bell rings, the men move, and I hear the clickety-clank of Gumball Jim coming back for another bite, so I grab my purse and stand up, just as a gentleman sits down. 3-piece suit, nails trimmed, no colostomy bag sticking out of his trousers. He introduces himself as Leon and asks if I believe in being fair. I nod my head hesitantly, and he looks at me with this huge grin and says, "Well, gorgeous, you've had that body your entire life. It's only fair I have it for one night." Now let me tell you, I've never been propositioned before. It didn't happen in my day. Well, at least not to me. The only thing I held was a man's hand until Albert put a ring on mine. Married 52 years. The only thing a man really offered me was a seat on the bus. Next thing I know, Leon and I were getting into a taxi cab, sharing a hip flask full of homebrew, and laughing like naughty school children. I catch the driver staring at us from the rear view mirror and... What am I doing? I'll just make a less than dignified exit at the next red light and apologize to Leon. But intersection after intersection, the lights are green, as if some greater force is pushing me forward. So I lean forward to tell the driver to pull over when Leon whispers into my ear, "I've paid the driver for the night. You can leave at any time you please." Maybe he just wants companionship, to feel the warmth of another human being, to feel less alone. I mean, that's not cheating, right? I'm merely being a good citizen. We check into this lavish 5-star hotel as Mr. and Mrs. Bumsmells. The snooty-nosed concierge at the desks types in our details and asks how to spell Bumsmells. Leon, completely straight-faced, says B-U-M, as in the backside, S-M-E-L-L-S as in the odor. It's Dutch. My family's in the baked beans business. And as the elevator doors close behind us, we break into hysterics, tears running down our faces, clutching our bellies. I haven't laughed that hard since. And as we settle into the silence, all that's left is music. He leads me towards this long corridor, towards our penthouse suite, and it's filled with all these portraits of regal men, their eyes staring down at us. He extends his arm for me to go in first and winks at me. He then excuses himself to freshen up. Like I need him any fresher. I make my way towards the balcony to look over at the city lights. And they're beautiful. But then I think about Albert and ponder for a moment. And then I walk towards Leon. He's sitting on the bed and my legs are wobbling as if I'm tiptoeing on a tightrope between two skyscrapers, and I say to him, "You know, I never intended on going to this speed dating thing." He stands up, putting his arm around the small of my back, whispering into my ear, "I saw you take down the flyer from the notice board last week." He takes my hand and slowly starts to hum. I'm sitting in the taxi cab alone as red beams in my face over the morning peak hour. I spray Chanel Mademoiselle on my wrists and neck. It's Albert's favorite perfume. When I get to his place, I see him staring at the bay room window, blank face, emotionless. I walk in front of him and hear his deep breath. I grab his hand, unclutching it from the robe I had ironed the day before, and I cry. Remembering that day 9 years ago when he was first moved into care. The day he slowly started to slip away from me. How he said, "Visit me. Love me. But you have to let me go. You have to let me go." And as this tornado of guilt inside me slowly starts to lose its last breath, I let go. I let go. I let go.
have someone you dread seeing who makes you feel bad about yourself in every single way, then congratulations! You know a toxic person, certified in bringing absolute terror to your life whenever they want. But how on earth can you navigate the drama they are spewing before it rubs off on you? Here are the 3 types of a toxic person. Hey, Mark, do you have a second? I have this really cool idea for a topic and I want to get your opinion on it. Okay, well, I found it on Vox, or Voxy. I don't know, it was something with a V. Anyway, I think it could be a really cool info and new message. Just shut the fuck up and stay in your place. You have to understand that you are nothing. There are graveyards inside of you, made of people that made you ache, of memories that you barely survived, of trauma and heartbreak. No, yeah, I can totally leave you alone. Thanks. Words matter, but for even us, that is difficult to understand. In September of 2019, I released a survey asking individuals to explain their experiences when it comes to verbal abuse within forensics. And I received responses from people aged 18 to 35, stating that the verbal abuse they experienced from this activity still impacts them to this day. Over the last 8 years of being within the forensics community, I have witnessed abusive tactics being used by peers in an activity that is meant to value teamwork and equality. As a community, we understand how impactful our words can be, and the trauma left behind from the negative peer-to-peer teammate interactions has only resulted in broken teams and has harbored a culture that normalizes abuse. We have an obligation to recognize that verbal abuse is happening and to make sure that our teams, our family, is safe. So through the poetry, Wild Embers by Natika Gill, the drama Types of a Toxic Person by Vanessa Edwards, a collection of text messages from teammates, survey responses from individuals within our own community who experience verbal abuse, my own personal narrative, as well as articles from Business Insider and Top Resume. A program. Because I refuse to leave behind a broken legacy. The straitjacket! The straitjacket wants to control everything and everyone around them. They want to know what you're doing, what you're thinking, and what you're gonna say. And if you disagree with them, well, they're gonna let you know. Watch out, this might be a toxic person. And from them you learn that growth is an essential part of being, of flowing. The growth is simply learning how to suffer gracefully, elegantly, constantly moving and traveling without letting your pain tear you apart. My teammate would constantly gossip whisper about myself to other people on the team, collecting my mistakes and harboring them before she let them out into the world. At times, it felt like she was intentionally trying to target those that she didn't like. Spoiler alert, she didn't like me. I would say to her, so what do you think? No, that's not a joke, it's my info. Well, what's wrong with it? Oh, really? Oh, that would be amazing. I would love your help. You could just give me some direction. I can figure it out. And start over. What do you mean start over? I mean, the coaches want this by Tuesday. Can't we fix any of it? No, yeah, I'll fix it. Thanks. I was verbally abused by her and belittled. There were times where she would come up to me and say in this aggressive tone how she wants something done her way. She was a total drama magnet. Shew crisis, shew problem, shew drama. Some toxic people are just magnets for drama. There's always a problem. Always. And once that problem goes away, another one's just going to appear. They want your empathy, your sympathy, maybe even your kidney. But unsurprisingly, they don't want your advice. They thrive in the crisis because it makes them feel important. There was once a sky inside of you, but you refuse to release it because somebody once told you that you are too much when you unleash all of your beauty, your passion, your vulnerability. That you are too much when you are raw. As a result, the parasite begins to attack the cell, leading it. I'm sorry. As a result, the parasite attaches itself to the cell, causing, can I just have a minute? Well, we've been doing this for like 3 hours, and I think if I just have a second, I'll be able to figure it out, and... I am very thankful, and I know you don't have to help me, and I want you to know that in the last 3 years that I knew her, she never showed any empathy for anyone. People on the team were terrified of her because they thought she was going to make them her next target. And if they berate you and break you down and tell you over and over and over again how you are not enough, remember that no one can tell you what you can and cannot do. What was what? I qualified. Well, I got third. You know, what's wrong with third? I am dedicated. No, I would never want to leave this team. I love being here. Why would you say something like that? I promise that I will work on my speeches more, and I don't think I should say this. I mean, I qualified. I will work on my speeches more. And I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. Why the fuck am I not good enough? Remember what you must do when they undervalue you. Whether your softness as your weakness, and take your kindness like it is their advantage. You awaken every dragon, every wolf, every monster that sleeps inside of you, and you show them what hell looks like when it wears the skin of a gentle human. So why is it when somebody says, I was physically abused by a team member, we believe them? But we don't believe somebody when they say, I was verbally abused and I want to quit. We should not be afraid to call out abuse when we see it happening. Being terrified to exist in your team rooms, that should not happen. Why is it that we flaunt the fact that our teams do well, but we don't console those who cry on the drive home? There is no reason to uphold the reputation of a team that is crumbling from within. No team is perfect, and we have an obligation to stop these situations before they become insurmountable. Hey guys, my name is Elizabeth and I am a senior this year. What? I just want to say how thankful I am that you are all here. This is going to be a different year.
Your experience, your kit, your choice. This is the mantra of the Brooklyn-based startup, the Me Too Kit. This is the first self-administered sexual assault evidence kit for commercial use. As Vox on September 6, 2019 notes, the company's founder, Madison Campbell, is attempting to give privacy back to survivors by providing them with the equipment necessary to collect evidence of an assault from the comfort of their own home. While these kits are still in the development phase, it's critical to analyze this reach for both medical and physical autonomy because, as the cut on September 13th of 2019 notes, the company's founders are hoping these materials will eventually be able to stand up in a court of law, prompting our research question. How does the Me Too kit's commodification of survival tools impact survivor identity and empowerment? To answer, we'll turn to Red Chinese model, developing communities of resistance, maker pedagogy, do-it-yourself feminism, and DIY citizenship. Published in the 2014 Journal of DIY Citizenship, Critical Making, and Social Media. Chinese model is ideal for analysis as it highlights how feminine modes of making subvert mainstream patriarchal industries. Chegni unpacks how zines, or non-commercial amateur magazines, serve as ideal communities of production for those seeking to avoid mainstream capitalistic structures. First, we'll analyze Chegni's model. Then, we'll apply it to the Me Too kit before unfolding some critical implications. To what the Me Too kit's website's last access February 17th of 2020 claims is a process that allows survivors to take back control. And it's so simple that you can do it yourself. Chegni offers up 3 tenets that DIY feminist movements utilize in order to validate a grassroots approach to both politics and activist agendas. Individual action, rejection of structures of the patriarchy, and DIY democracy. First, individual action. Chegni found by crafting spaces of critical reflection on oneself leads to individual action as the basis for cultural resistance. Maker cultures are known for strategic processes through which people reclaim power within their everyday lives. By offering up these alternatives, these publications highlight the need to be self-serving business-wise in order to gain a sense of autonomy. Second, rejection of structures of the patriarchy. Zines become an ideal space for advancing one's politics by creating alternative channels of citizenship. By embracing feminine modes of making, sharing, and connecting, zines forge a new space for critique, where young women are able to combine their need to make and connect with their need to avoid toxically masculine spaces. Doing so makes the DIY method of production appear as a better expression of the ideal. Finally, DIY democracy. Zines proliferate the need for personal responsibility within the production of content. DIY activists are defined by an activist persona that is directly hindered by our current political system. DIY activists exist within a DIY democracy as a means of creating a new identity that is independent of our current political structures. Now that we've analyzed Chegni's model, we have sufficient knowledge to apply it to the Me Too kit. First, the Me Too kit directly utilizes individual action by placing collection authority in the survivor's hands. This product is being marketed as something consumers should have on hand as a method of preparing for a time in which a person would need to use it. As the New York Post on September 12th of 2019 notes, this product was founded under the principle that you should be able to take back control from the comfort of your own home. In its ideal form, this kit would contain DNA swabs and a way to collect the clothing the survivor was wearing during the assault. By giving survivors the means to collect their own evidence, this kit gives the user a route to gaining autonomy, fulfilling our first tenet. Second, the Me Too kit's website directly rejects structures of the patriarchy by highlighting the many reasons survivors may choose to abstain from receiving medical attention. Whether it's due to a distrust in the criminal justice system or a fear of being accused of playing a part in the crime, the Me Too kit's founder, Madison Campbell, told the New York News on September 14th of 2019, "Hospitals can be an intimidating place for victims, often leading to no evidence being collected at all," claiming that hospitals are a place where survivors have to give up control of their body for the sake of medical treatment. By simultaneously validating their product and invalidating our current medical system, the Me Too kit rejects structures of the patriarchy, fulfilling our second tenet. Finally, the Me Too kit's founders utilize personal responsibility within the production of their product by highlighting legislation's unwillingness to change, creating their own DIY democracy. In a September 2nd, 2019 letter from the Rhode Island Attorney General's office states, in cases of sexual assault, it's critical to collect as much evidence as possible, as soon as possible. Based on what we know about at-home products, they are counter to the proper collection and preservation of evidence. To which Campbell told BuzzFeed News on September 17th of 2019, I will continue to fight, even if it requires legislation to change. I will make sure survivors have the right to take back control over their own bodies. Campbell claims our current political system as the problem within the new activist identity she is seeking to create, fulfilling our final tenet. Now that we've analyzed Chinese model, applied it to the Me Too kit, we have sufficient knowledge to answer our research question. How does the Me Too kit's commodification of survival tools impact survivor identity and empowerment? It negatively impacts survivor identity and empowerment by creating a rhetorical fantasy in which the safety and conviction of sexual assault is the survivor's responsibility. We can further see this through two critical implications: the rhetoric of DIY and the commodification of Me Too. First, scholars question the grounds on which DIY feminism's claims of an activist culture can actually be measured. Chinese model shows us, by looking for cultural and individual solutions to what are essentially societal and structural problems, the underground nature of these solutions will inevitably cause them to fail. The rhetoric of anti-rape technologies such as the Me Too kit places survivors as the sole person responsible for handling rape culture. As Madison Campbell told the aforementioned BuzzFeed News, if this evidence was admissible in court, it would be a hopeful deterrent to assault. While the actions of grassroots activist movements are admirable, we must acknowledge that by removing themselves from their oppressors, they're denying the structural roots of what is oppressing them. Second, the commodification of Me Too. The aforementioned Vox notes, the majority of criticisms that the Me Too kit received claimed they were preying upon assault victims for a quick buck. However, this product was produced with the intent of it being purchased before the act ever occurs. Meaning, people are buying themselves into a reality in which they believe they will be sexually assaulted. Me Too branded products not only commodify the movement and those who are a part of it, but also construct a reality in which you can purchase your way into the movement. As Business Insider on April 16th of 2019 notes, people want to be a part of oppressed communities because they want to talk about these issues. Additionally, people with privilege have always tried to insert themselves into the communities that they are oppressing. However, this is a community you should never will to be a part of. Now that we've analyzed Chinese model, applied it to the Me Too kit, and explored some critical implications, we can see, while actions of grassroots activist movements are admirable, there are some things you should never have to do yourself.
Apparently, condoms are only 98% effective. Now, did you know that? No? Well, I didn't either. I'm 19, pregnant, but right now, like a skinny pregnant. And I have a paper due in 16 hours. And Noah was never supposed to be my baby daddy. Especially not when my friend Ruby said, Noah's up to no good. We were hosting our annual evening of drinking and dancing, all of which whom attended pounded a shot of boxed wine per minute. Noah, who's up to no good. His hand felt warm and dangerous. Like a gun. I expected him to act like a brooding young convict, but he surprised me with his slapstick dad sense of humor. Like when he stole Ruby's hat and danced seductively around the room. I like Noah. Noah who was up to no good. The lab door of the university clinic swung open. I searched her face for a look of reassurance, maybe some eye contact, a smile. She sat down, crossed her legs, and put her hands on her knees. It was when she looked down, I knew. Fuck. In late May of 2019, Alabama Senate voted to pass a bill that would abolish almost all abortions within the state. Actress Busy Phillips felt compelled to take action, noting, "Women deserve compassion and understanding when making personal health decisions." She opened up about her own abortion at age 15 on her late night show, Busy Tonight. Her audience was floored by her willingness to be so open about a topic that used to be seen as taboo. This started the hashtag #YouKnowMe, where thousands of females opened up about their own abortions. The Guttemacher Institute, copyright 2019, explains, 25% of US females will have had an abortion before the age of 45. Phillips mentions that you might hear the statistic and think to yourself, well, I've never met anyone who's had an abortion. Well, now you know me. Every woman deserves a choice, and I am so happy with mine. But that doesn't mean I don't need time to heal. May Cause Love by Cassie Underwood. I started to think of my options. Do you want to have the baby? Noah asked. Well, we could name her Jade, I said. All 11 of my grandma's siblings all started with J, and Mick Jagger also had a baby named Jade, so... Jade's pretty, he said. But I don't think I'm ready to be a father. So I guess I should tell you that I ended up having the abortion, and I would go on to dream of babies ever since. Like last night's nightmare, I had a dream that I lost the baby at a house party. Yeah, but I couldn't tell anyone that I had had a baby because, God forbid, right? So I had to search for her alone. So I looked on my hands and my knees until I got to the kitchen. And there she was, surrounded by college students. She was pretty. And all I wanted to do is I just wanted to hold her. But it felt like my feet were in quicksand, so I couldn't. So I just stared. After that, I decided I wanted to tell everyone about my abortion, from the guy sitting next to me on the plane to my senior thesis. You know, people tell me all the time that I just need to heal. But I don't think they understand that that word just doesn't have the same meaning to me anymore. Like, at this point, I just want a group of women to sit around me and tell me that they've had abortions too and how they got okay. Above all else, I just want people to know that having an abortion didn't break me or anything. It just kind of showed me the ways I was already broken. Upon turning in my senior thesis, my professor asked me if I had ever heard of Miyazuku. No. She tells me it's an ancient Buddhist ritual to practice after abortion. The odds of her telling me about this at this precise moment just seemed lucky. So after a few months of trepidation, I decided to go for it. I listened and I learned and I found out that the whole point was to apologize. Now, I always brace myself never to apologize for my abortion because I'm not sorry for anything that I did. There's just something in me that thinks that I need to say something to her. So I lit the candles because symbolism. And I started. Out loud. I'm sorry that I couldn't bring you into the world at this time, but thank you for waiting. More. More, okay. I'm sorry for bad sex ed, for undiagnosed mental illness, for not trusting myself. Not because I regret anything that I did, but because I let everyone else's voices be so much louder. Yeah, I'm really sorry. A miracle happened that night. I didn't dream of any babies. Not that night or the night after that. The nightmares had stopped. So, it's the 3-year anniversary of my abortion, and Noah texted me and he told me that he has a new girlfriend and that she's 6 months pregnant and that they're naming the baby Jake. There's good news though. No, there really can be good news. I'm 22 years old. I'm young. I have everything I thought I needed. Houseplants, a handle on my drinking, and I guess a roadmap to recovery. Sometimes I feel bad about feeling bad. And sometimes I feel bad about feeling bad about feeling bad.
A mysterious disease has started attacking fat people who become famous.
This rare disorder can jump into the two-dimensional realm,
Attacking such well-known figures as the Pillsbury Doughboy and
the Michelin Man.
it's kind of an equation. If you're fat,
And you become a celebrity,
you lose weight. Plus-size model Adriana Letterly was an inspiration to curvy women everywhere, proving with each magazine cover she graced. Now, after several lifestyle changes, she had a stunning physical transformation.
Okay, Rachel, I need you to call the producers of Big Lakes about the checks
Right.
while I go take a shit. Got it?
Yeah, already on it. Oh my god. Oh my god, Dakota! What? Dakota, it's important! I'm shitting! Dakota!
Just yell it through the door, I made groundhog.
Okay, well, they released the Scotty
with my body. I was no longer alive, just a shrinking mass. 100 pounds thinner, Adriana is hitting the runway in the best shape of her life. But she was perfect before, but she's also perfect now?
In their 1998 book, Fat So, authors Sandra Solovey and Marilyn Wan developed the term celebrity wasting syndrome, which described the infectious trend of celebrities losing weight as they achieve success. While the term was popularized for skinny celebrities losing even more weight, fat celebrities were excluded from a term developed for them due to any weight loss being seen as beneficial.
As stars like Adele, Melissa McCarthy, and countless others continually lose weight, the toxic epidemic of celebrity wasting syndrome is more apparent than ever. These stars distance fat people in the audience by ignoring the struggle they freely left behind. More than 2 decades later, we must raise awareness of celebrity wasting syndrome, plaguing fat celebrities before they all fade away.
So to the drama, Small Lakes by Daria Jacobson, Fat Celebrities Are Shrinking by Maggie McGill.
The poetry, Where Did She Go by Jay, Shrinking by Ray, Oh Distrell by Garner.
Articles from Clickhole.
And the prose, Smaller by Claire Peterson. How Fat Women Are Portrayed by Their Celebrity Icons by Beth Bernstein. And Fat So by Sandra Solovey and Marilyn Wan.
A program exposing a toxic, vicious cycle.
Because I refuse to shrink my success.
So your dietitian appointment is set for 3:30, but are you absolutely positive this is what you want to do?
Hell yes, Rachel. I need to look bomb for the Scotties. I've never been on the red carpet before.
You already look bomb.
I know. But I figured a little more definition could give me that competitive edge.
You're stunning as it is. You think a little waist trim's gonna make you Judy Garland?
Well, I don't want this to be my only role, and I figured losing a few pounds could help.
If you say so, but as your assistant, I think you're doing all right just the way that you are.
Well, thanks.
Today I woke up and felt somehow smaller.
Smaller because food is non-existent today.
Smaller like the flame inside my belly has gone lukewarm. Everything just seems small.
Let's start over. So Adriana lost 100 pounds. Great. But she also gained some major confidence. And that's when she realized what
didn't have to be done.
And she
gave in to dangerous and hurtful industry pressures and ought to be ashamed. Shit.
It's scary to think that all the people I look up to are thinner than me now.
Jennifer Hudson said losing weight was better than winning an Oscar.
After weight loss surgery, Ricky Lake said that she didn't want to play fat girls anymore.
Oprah even said her ability to lose 67 pounds was the single greatest achievement of her life.
Oprah? Oh my God! I'm not seeing any effect today. I fucking hate egg whites.
Everyone does. You're probably just plateauing. It's okay. We have the designers coming in today.
Why? I'm not nearly to the size I want to be.
I thought it was just a few pounds.
Well, I figured I could keep going.
Okay, well, you can at least get an idea for the dress that you want.
Did you see Elle Lilliot's before and after pictures? She lost 60 pounds and it only took her a month. I need some of those diet gummies.
Those are just laxatives. That can't be healthy.
You think any of this is healthy? You think that is healthy?
I'm sorry, Dakota, but isn't that the point? I mean, to be healthy and...
Aren't you my assistant? Isn't there something you could be doing?
Right. Just remember who you represent.
Today I woke up and felt somehow smaller.
Smaller like my voice just yesterday was booming and running at 1,000,000 miles an hour. And today I cleared my throat 32 times so far because it keeps coming out as a whisper and getting stuck behind my help me into these skin tight too. Oh my God, Dakota.
Oh. Are you sure this dress isn't too small?
Oh, maybe for you, Rachel.
Okay.
I made it.
So now we just need take a few pictures and we'll be good to go.
Okay, just make sure you get my good angles and not my big fat belly.
What belly?
Oh, come on, don't be silly. My belly is still huge.
You lost over 200 pounds. I couldn't see a belly on you if I tried.
Thank you! And yet I'm still a hero. A champion, some might say.
Are you kidding me right now?
What? People love me even more now. I'm all anyone can talk about.
You lost half your fan base when you lost weight and just gained a bunch of
Oh,
fat
come
phobic
on. Like you're one to talk.
Excuse me.
I mean, you've basically been gaining all the weight I've been losing, so...
Are you fat shaming me right now?
Oh my god, no, I would never. I'm just saying, you gotta let yourself go.
Oh, fuck off, Dakota.
Excuse me?
You've lost so much weight in the past few months, and I don't even care that I've gained weight because you taught me that it's okay to be bigger, but now there's no you to teach people that anymore.
I don't know what's gotten into you, but I think you've forgotten who your boss is.
No, I don't understand how you let all the people who talk badly about your body get to you. Now you're just like all of them.
I'm healthier now.
You eat 100 calories a day.
So?
You're not healthy.
Oh my god.
You're not the icon I always wanted to work for. I quit. Enjoy your laxatives. It started with Oprah, and it won't end with Rebel. If there's no place on TV for my body size, how could there be space for me in the office, at school, on a plane, literally anywhere?
What kind of message does it send that a marginalized community isn't growing?
We're shrinking.
I reject the notion that thinness is the goal, that thin equals better.
That I am an unfinished thing, and that my life will really start when I lose weight, and then I will finally succeed? No! There is a person right the fuck here, and I am worth living! We women are living, but we are tired of living in a world that ostracizes us! We have strength like Tess Holiday, dance moves like Lizzo, and a spark like Amy Bryant, and we're happy, and we're beautiful, and I'm fat! She's sure as hell living! We are powerful in numbers that are only decreasing.
And if they all
fade away! Who's left?